In front of us here we have a standard power end assembly from a standard end suction centrifugal pump, specifically a Gould's 3196 commonly found in the pulp and paper industry. This one has been modified slightly for easy disassembly for demonstration purposes. The power end assembly consists of a few different components. The main being the bearing frame, which contains the lubricant used to keep the bearings lubricated, whether that's grease or oil. It would also consist of the shaft that the bearings are mounted on, the bearings themselves, both thrust and radial, the sealing device, which could be oil seals, lip seals, or a labyrinth seal to keep the oil contained in the bearing frame, and the thrust bearing housing, which would mount to the rear side of the bearing frame. Here. Although disassembly and rebuild at this point would look very simple, there are many details that need to be adhered to, and precision is key. Although many facilities at this point would see a pump rebuild as something as simple as putting new bearings in a shaft, there's much more that goes into a precision rebuild and much more that we look for during our inspections. Some of those key items are the bearing fits. There are 4 bearing fits in total on a pump. One is in the bearing frame, the second in the thrust housing, and 2 bearing landings on the shaft where the bearings are mounted. Making sure that these bearing fits are within tolerance is key and critical to a quality pump rebuild and ensuring the longevity of your pump. The next item that we look for is the shaft quality and condition. There are a few items that we check during this inspection, and one is being the shaft runout. We want to make sure that there's no runout in the shaft, it's not bent, it's as straight as can be. There's sometimes some damage to the shaft as well. In the lip seal areas, there can be lip seal grooving, which would allow a leak path for the oil to come out of the bearing frame. And there could also be damage at the packing location if the packing has been over tightened and running too long like that. The next item that we make sure we do during a rebuild is we use quality tier 1 bearings in our rebuilds. This is also key to ensuring the longevity of your pump. You get what you pay for. Another important part to ensuring a quality rebuild is ensuring you're using the right tools. An example of this is a bearing heater that we use before we mount the bearings on the shaft. Throughout the reassembly process, we also go through many quality checks. An example of this is once the pump is reassembled, we once again check the shaft runout to ensure it is square and true to the bearing frame. We also check all of the torques of every bolt on the frame to ensure they are to spec. Another key item that we like in our facility is a clean room. This room that we're in currently is separate from the rest of our shop to ensure that no contaminants, no particulates, and no debris will be thrown in the air and caught in the bearings during a reassembly.